What's up, gang? My name is Janette. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for supporting my content. I appreciate you so much. But if this is your first time checking me out, make sure you lock into my channel by clicking on that subscribe button and also by clicking on the notification bell. That way you never miss an episode of anything that I do here. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to handle being triggered. So if you're interested in hearing more about that topic, make sure you stick around until the end of the video. Let's go ahead and hop into it.
I look like money, grab your camera, I'll say cheese. What am I supposed to do? When my life look like my pictures do. What? He still ain't posted you. Come let me show you what you supposed to do. Go, bounce up on that dude. Go show these niggas they can't F with you. Look what you made me do. I gotta show you how real I'm. I've been loyal to myself. I don't need nobody else. Don't nobody understand.
So this topic is really close to my heart because people try to trigger me all the time. Every single day of my life, somebody's trying to trigger me. Whether it's my son, somebody at work, my man, somebody's trying to trigger me, okay? So I'm here to help you out because I know you're going through it too. I want you to know that there is power in controlling yourself. There is power in controlling your emotions. There is power in controlling your actions. There is power in controlling you. The spirits that we have can be very powerful depending on who you are. So you want to make sure that you have your spirit in check at all times and that you're not allowing another person to control what your spirit does. I'm sorry, y'all. It's my son's birthday and he thinks he could just do whatever he wants today. So he's being loud. So I apologize if you guys hear him in the background, but bear with me, okay? So back to being triggered. When I was growing up, I had this leadership class where it was like my favorite teacher. Her name was Cartwright, and she had told me basically that, you know, you don't want to be a remote control. You don't want to allow other people to press your buttons and control your mood for the day, control what you do that day or anything like that. You want to be in control of your own self. So you don't want to allow them to be able to change your channel and stuff like that, to change what you do that day, right? You want to be in control of yourself. So you want to react when you want to react, and you want to not react when you don't want to react, okay? The power is in your self-control. Now, there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about not arguing with fools because you'll become a fool yourself. Not trusting a fool to convey a message to you, right? So not taking gossip from others and running with it and things like that. So I'm going to make sure I post that scripture down below so you guys can reference it. But you know, God knew that people would try to trigger believers every day. They try to trigger Yeshua a lot. Like you've seen the Bible where a lot of the times they would try to say or think, right, that he was, you know, not of God. A lot of the times when he would try to heal people or when he tried to teach on the Sabbath and things like that, like they constantly tried to trigger him to basically distract him from his father's mission. So what you don't want to do is be distracted from your father's mission, from your father's business here on earth, which is the will of God. God wants us to get in front of the world and tell other believers about the good news, right? Which is that God is here to save us from our sin. God talks about how, you know, a proverb from a fool is as useless as a paralyzed leg. So you can't do anything with foolishness, right? So if somebody is foolish enough to try to trigger you, you don't want to engage in that. You don't want to engage in that, right? I talk to my boyfriend all the time about what triggers us. I tell him, like, I'm not going to address this right now, stuff like that, because I have to work on what it is about what you just did that triggered me. I try to do that all the time because it's not about him. I have to deal with my own demons per se. I have to deal with whatever is triggering me. I have to deal with it, you know, on a deeper level, because I want to be able to control that trigger and make sure that another person is not able to do it to me and get me all out of character. Because you know, you act one way in the house, but when you leave the house and somebody else does the same thing to you that your significant other does to you, or that your friend or somebody does to you, you can kind of flip. Right? So I just wanted to kind of give you guys some tips today. Now, this idea came to me because I know a lot of you guys have seen Keke Palmer. Like, she was at the Usher concert and then her baby daddy like tweeted like she was a mom, but she was wearing that dress and stuff like that. And, you know, they kind of been going back and forth a little bit on the internet with a little dig. So that really showed me something, right? It really showed me that, you know, not only are celebrities just regular people, but the triggering can happen in many forms, right? So the Keke was able to trigger her child's father, but what he doesn't understand is if he had put a ring on it already, and if she was his wife, he would have a lot more say so, as opposed to her just being his girlfriend. So he can't really control what she wears and stuff like that. Not saying that your husband should be able to control what you wear, but you're going to take their advice and what they're saying into a little bit more consideration, as opposed to just your boyfriend. And I hate that the world is like that, right? I do think that a lot of the times, in order to let me not say I think, because my boyfriend says this to me all the time, because I'd be like, yo, we gotta wait till marriage, we gotta wait till marriage, we gotta wait till marriage. And he always says, like, Janae, we're married in the spirit. So in my mind, I'm like, how can you allow a person that's not even your wife to trigger you on such a deep level because she wore a sheer dress to a Usher concert and she sung with Usher, and she didn't have sex with Usher or nothing like that, but this triggered you, right? Because at the end of the day, the triggering is deep, right? He's not really triggered because she wore a dress and sang in Usher's face. He's triggered because he understands at that point in time, like seeing that video, that another person could come in and take his person because he has not committed to it yet. You get what I'm saying? So I tell you guys, you got to dig deep with the trigger. That's how you handle being triggered. You have to check yourself when it happens, right? And think about, like, where is this taking me back to? So you know I got to give you guys a story in every video. So for those of you who be like, oh, Janique, I need a story time. Where the story times at? The story times are in every video. You can't just judge a video by its title, right? When I give you so many pieces of information in the video, so many stories in the video, right? You have to check out every single video. Don't be too busy to hear a word from God. You hear what I'm saying? So make sure you check out some of my other videos. You know, people try to be puppet masters in your life more than you think, right? A person who is calling to give you gossip that another person said about you is a prime example of that, right? You have to kind of figure out what their motives are for telling you this piece of information. So let me get y'all a story. One time I'm chilling, just minding my business, and I get a message on a social media platform from a guy who was an ex to one of my friends at the time, right? And the guy says to me, you cannot trust this friend. This friend is telling me your business. And he kind of sprinkles in some of the business just to prove that she is in fact telling him my business. And he also let me know that she was fake and she was this, she was that, blah, blah, blah. And he basically tried to say, like, what are you going to do about this information that I just presented to you, right? Now, I had two options at that time. I could go off on my friend, like, you know, and blank on her, fight her even, you know, for the business per se that she had told him and all kind of stuff. Or I could just check his motive, right? Because what's your reason for really coming to tell me? Clearly you guys have broken up and you're upset because she's not talking to you or something. So you're trying to trigger me to make me fall out with her. That way she comes back to you. So you have to dig deep. Now, he didn't tell me that's what his motive was, but I could read him like a book. You get what I'm saying? Because people are not coming to give you information for your benefit. People are coming to give you information for their benefit, their entertainment, right? So that time I just had a conversation with the girl. Just had a conversation with her, let her know, man, I know people pillow talk, you know what I'm saying? I pillow talk a little bit, not too much because I don't know y'all business, but you know, I know people share things with their significant other, but you don't want to share something with a guy that you're not going to work things out with. That's crazy to me to tell him my business. You don't know who he's telling that to. So I ignored that. I really handled that very well because the power of God is over my life, y'all. And I'm going to include God in all my decision making. If God doesn't tell me to turn up on you, I'm not turning up on you, period. Because for what? What does it do? Yeah, you told me I can't go back in time and change the fact that you told him my information and he came back and told me. I can't do anything but address it with you and hopefully it can change, right? So fast forward a little bit, you know, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 months later, the guy hits me up on another social media platform and tells me, again, the girl is still telling him my information. And this thing that she had told him was so recent, there was no way he was lying. So he tried to trigger me again to end that friendship with her. And I still chose not to completely end it. I just took a step back from her, but I didn't blank on her or anything, go off on her, which I think is what people always expect from me, right? They expect me to lose control. But why would I lose control on you? It's not worth it. You know how long it takes me to get ready? It takes me like an hour to get ready out of my day. You understand? You know how long it takes me to be at peace? You know how long it has taken me to attain this peace I have in life? I can't come in and let anybody disrupt it. So I didn't even turn up on that girl for that. And I could have, because the information she gave is detrimental. You get what I'm saying? That it could really be a big scandal. It could really be something that's way bigger than what it was, right? If this information got into the wrong hands. So, I just brushed it off, but it takes a strong person to brush something off. People always talk about being the bigger person. That's a real thing, right? Because it takes a bigger person to walk away from conflict. It takes a bigger person to not allow the conflict to disrupt their peace so much that they end up in prison or in jail for what they're going to do to you. You could end up in jail for unaliving a person just because you're triggered by something they did, where if you just work on your triggers, work on what has happened to you in your past, work through it, understand why you felt that way, how it made you feel, even you understand, and what you can do to avoid putting yourself in that situation again so you're not triggered. And we can't always control what happens to us on a daily basis, because we know life be lifing, but you can control how you react to the life and that life does. I constantly have people come and tell me information about people I don't rock with anymore, and as soon as somebody does that, I cut them off, because why are you trying to trigger me? Why are you bringing up stuff that you know I don't like why are you bringing up stuff about a person you know I don't like, right? What's your motive? Are you trying to trigger me? All I can do is remove myself from that situation. That's how you handle your trigger, man. Remove yourself from the situation. Don't sit right here and engage in it, right? If some information is making you upset, remove yourself. My boyfriend, he kind of gets mad a lot when I want time alone after he triggers me, but I want that time so I can kind of sit with myself and reflect and see why I was even triggered to begin with, based off what you said or your actions or stuff like that. Because a lot of people can't do that, and he can't really understand it because he's never done it. He's never seen anybody sit right here and take time to themselves to try to figure out why they're being triggered, right? Yeah, I'm different. But I know it's coming from God, right? God always says you cannot be a fool. Fools despise wisdom, right? The wisdom that I'm seeking to try to find out why I'm being triggered, a fool can never understand that, because a fool will never do that. A fool will just get triggered and try to turn up and fight you and stuff like that, as opposed to seeing what kind of resolution we can really reach when it comes to why I'm being triggered, right? How can we avoid this happening in the future? I don't know if I told y'all this story before, but I had a homegirl who had she had got into a fight in front of me. It was a few girls with us, but we let her fight by herself, and she came back and told everybody she had gotten jumped, but she hadn't gotten jumped. She had fought one-on-one. She had just ended up fighting two girls that night, so she fought one first and then she fought another one. But she wanted me to be all rowdy and mad, but how can I be rowdy and mad about your situation? You get what I'm saying? I can't allow what's going on with you to trigger me when it's going on with you. I've sit right there and rolled for especially her. I sit right here and rolled for women before, and when I realized that rider mentality was not being reciprocated, yeah, I removed that from our friendship. I remember when I realized I wasn't going to ride for her like I was already, right before this fight. Actually, this happened probably 6 months before this fight had happened, because let me tell y'all a little story. There was this big thing in the city called CIAA, and the girl and my friend was supposed to work together, and then all of a sudden the girl told my friend she wasn't going to work at all, right? So we ended up going to this club, and my friend had got to the club ahead of time. She called me like, "Girl, you'll never believe who working at the door up here." I said, "Well, who working at the door?" She was like, the girl who acted like she wasn't gonna work, right? So she's upset, she's triggered, and that's my friend at the time. So I'm like, you know what? I don't like her either. I don't like that, because why you gotta sit right here and lie? We friends. You get what I'm saying? So we all had worked together. So when we went to work a few days later, I'm acting funny towards the girl, right? Thinking my friend is still mad, right? And I noticed maybe within a few days, my friend and the girl are back clicked tight again, right? Now, my friend, I guess she didn't think she owed it to me to tell me she had made up with the girl, so she still got me acting funny with the girl, right? And when I realized I look stupid because I'm taking up for somebody who's not even taking up for themselves about the principle in their relationship, I went back and apologized to the girl. You know what? I actually felt some type of way because my friend had called me, confided in me, and felt some type of way about what you had done. I'm guessing you guys did not really talk this out. She said no, she didn't say anything to me about it. But I'm like, I was taking up for my friend. I was being loyal to her because I know her longer and stuff like that. But there is no reason for me to take my anger out on you. There's no reason for me to change how I view you, because you have not done anything to me. That's between both of you guys. So I was woman enough to go back and apologize to her. But I allowed my friend to trigger me. I allowed her to get up under my skin. I allowed her beef to become my beef, right? And it ended up impacting my relationship with the other person. But the girl, she forgave me. But this is just talking about you can't ride for everybody, y'all. You can't rise. So don't allow another person's triggers to become your trigger as well, because you can take it way further than them. We see memes all the time about how you got those friends that'll get way madder than you will about a situation. And I had that moment was when I stopped becoming that person. When I realized, like, man, if people are not going to take up for themselves, what am I going to do for them? I can't take up for nobody who can't take up for themselves. If you are not blessed with a backbone to sit right here and speak up for yourself, speak up when you don't like something, speak up when you feel betrayed or hurt or something like that, I can't do it for you, because that's not my job here on earth. My job is to get you to believe in yourself enough to stand up for what you believe in, right? If you don't believe in yourself, you'll never stand up for yourself. So, and just a little fast forward, right? I made up with that girl, but a few years later, I allowed her to come over to my house. And when she came over to my house, I had a pair of AirPods that were in the box on my counter that I was going to give as a gift to a person whose birthday was coming up, like maybe the next week. I had just bought them. And I let the girl come into my house to do her hair. And I had another hair appointment right after. And after that, I had another hair appointment. So when the next client showed up, the next client was talking about how we were about to go to brunch. And then the girl whose hair I just did, who, again, she had lied about not working for CIAA. She was like, oh, y'all going to brunch? Like, I want to come too. Like, do you mind if I come? I said, no, I don't mind. And my other friend whose hair I was doing, she said, no, I don't mind. And we spent the day together and stuff like that. We came back to my house, chill for a little bit until she left later that night. And the next day, I went to like package up the gift that I was going to give to the person in a few days. And, the AirPods were gone. So I knew that the AirPods were not stolen by my friend who came second, by the second client, because the second client didn't come back to my house. I remember the AirPods being on my counter when we came back to my house. The other girl, she had like lived in South Carolina, so she had a little further to drive, so she did not come in. But the first girl did come back in, and the next day I didn't have my AirPods anymore. Now that could have triggered me to go to her house, turn up on her, fight her, call the police. I mean, so many things. But instead, I let it go. Because when somebody steals something from me, my first mind is to be like, you know what? They clearly need it more than I do. They need it more than I do. What can I do with them? Like, they clearly needed them enough to take them from me, something I worked so hard for. And, obviously God thinks that maybe, I should not be giving this person this gift. So that's just that's how I took it. But I could have took the trigger a whole different way. So hopefully these stories kind of give you an outline on how to handle your triggers. And these triggers even happen in relationships, like when you're talking to a guy. Like, a guy will not talk to you, will ignore you for a certain period of time to trigger you into calling their phone a bunch of times, or to finding out where they're at, or just acting out of character because you're upset that you think you got ghosted, or you think somebody's playing with you, as opposed to not caring at all. At the end of the day, we cannot control what people do. And that's a beautiful thing about free will, is everybody has it. So people are not obligated to call us every day. People are not obligated to keep us in our lives. People are not obligated to let us know where they're going, what they're doing, who they're hanging out with, who they're chilling with, who they're even having sex with. People are not obligated to do any of that. People have free will, right? And I take advantage of that as well. I have free will as well, so I'm not obligated to do those same things with people. But we can't get triggered at the choices that people make in their lives because they have free will. You understand? And you got to start thinking about life like that. Don't get triggered by what people do to you. They have free will, as do you. So with your free will, are you going to use it to go to jail behind a person, to unalive a person, to steal from a person, to abuse a person, to put hands on them if they try you, right? To tell their business when they try you, to expose them, to embarrass them? Like, are you going to allow the trigger to do that to you? Are you going to take your free will and do those types of things with it? Or are you going to take your free will and instead understand your trigger, understand why it bothers you, and choose to remove yourself from the situation, right? Life is all about choices. So when people make mistakes, it's just a bad choice, right? Life is all about choices. I pray that you have the wisdom to understand what triggers you have. And I pray that you ask God for the wisdom for that as well, because that's something that can be given. That's a gift from God. Wisdom is a gift from God. So when you want to understand yourself more, you try to draw closer to God, because to understand yourself is to understand God, right? Because God is us. God is love. We are all one with our Creator. So again, fools despise wisdom. So if you despise anything that I said to you today, I know what side you're on, but hopefully you're on the side that I'm on, right? We cannot allow these triggers to embarrass us any longer. That guy, Keke Palmer's baby daddy, he deleted his Twitter. Right? Like, you embarrass yourself so bad because girls are going in on you for being really, you really being insecure. But because you know you have not committed to this woman yet, and she's out here showing off what she has. She's out here singing at Usher concert because she's not married, so she can do that. And I think a lot of people got to see what position you have a person in, right? When they trigger you, see what position y'all are in. Are you even in a position to get triggered? You get what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna be triggered by somebody who you're not even committing to? You got 10 different people that you texting right now, but you get triggered because one person won't text you back. One person won't call you. One person won't give you any of their time. One person won't have sex with you. Come on, we got to do better as people, man. Handle your triggers. We all have free will. What are you going to do with yours? Huh? Okay, think about it. Now, I hope you got something from my message today. If you did, make sure you check out some of my other messages, and I will see you in the next video. Remember, you are the main character in your life. Every choice you make is yours, okay? I'll see you in the next video. Janique here, Janique TV. Peace.